Well, we have some work to do again. And it's kind of our hay operation, more or less. So the tractor, which we knew this, I knew this when I picked it up, but the valve cover gasket leaks, and I'm guessing the valve cover is just warped or something. I'm not sure, but you can see oil down here, and it's just kind of running down along, I believe, coming out there. I do check the oil, make sure, you know, we're good every time we run it. But the main thing of concern is when we hook up to one of our remotes back here, I'm getting a lot of hydraulic fluid coming out from under the seat. So there's something wrong with one of the lines in here, and I don't know exactly what that's going to entail and what that's going to mean, you know, to try and fix it, because they are hard lines. So I'm not sure what we have to do. I'm sure there's like a crimp type fitting or something that you can get on there, but I don't have any of that equipment, so that could be a problem. The other issue that we have is, it's like I said, it is the entire hay operation. So as I've said in one of the previous videos, when you're working with old equipment like this, you're bound to be fixing stuff. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, I guess. So on the hay bind, the last time I tried to hook it up, it started spewing fluid out the back of the shock here. And I'm assuming there's like an O-ring or something in there. I don't know for sure until I rip everything apart. But we're basically gonna unhook the hydraulic line from this, pull this all out. I mean, you can see it was leaking some right there. So this is gonna need some attention. We'll have to rebuild this. And then the third and final thing, or I guess second to last thing, the tedder. We broke the, which I knew that was gonna be an issue. I was just hoping to get through the season, and didn't quite work out that way, which it is what it is. No big deal. We'll address one of these issues one at a time. But basically, you can see that's all cracked and broke. So I need to get a new end, slide that on there, weld it fast. And then we also need to get the new yoke bearing or universal bearing, whatever they're called, for that. And if you watched the previous video where we were tilling and planting pumpkins and all that stuff, we ended up doing the same thing on the rototiller. That universal on there, same thing, the bearing thing blew apart, so we have to replace that as well. Mixture of multiple different things. So we have maybe an opening this coming week that we can cut some hay, hopefully. And second cutting's rolling around here pretty quick from the first fields that we've cut. So I need to get this stuff kind of back in order and operating properly, because right now we're kind of out of commission as far as cutting hay. So I think we're gonna take the seat off the tractor, try and pull that whole box off and kind of see what's going on there. And then we'll hop out here and see what I need to do about that hydraulic leak on the hay bind. Well, it looks like there's a little bit of water in the hydraulic system, or high tran, whatever. So that's lovely. Yeah, definitely some water in that. I already have the seat bolts, the whole box here, kind of loose. So it's just a matter of kind of popping it off at this point. This is kind of a chore getting this apart, but look at all that junk in there. Looks like a screwdriver in there, some tools, nuts, bolts. And if I forgot to mention, which I'm pretty sure I did, in our hay operation that all needs work, our hay rake broke too, so we gotta fix that. It's everything, literally everything. But none of it's really all that major. Obviously, I don't know what this hydraulic leak is, but again, I don't foresee this being something super major. So I gotta get one more bolt and nut apart, and then I think I can pop this whole seat out. I gotta do something with the wires over here for that plug. And then I can lift the whole thing out, because ultimately I wanna keep everything intact so I can turn the tractor on and run it and see where this is all leaking. What a mess that is. And I don't know, I'm kind of wondering if that's the leak right there, because you can kind of see there's a lot of kind of residual oil just hanging there. I don't know. I'm not sure how we're gonna go about fixing that either, because it's a solid line. Well, this is what I have come across. Cleaned a lot of this up. I think there's something going on with this line right here, the bottom one. But they go way up in, you have your hydraulic control valves here, but they both run up in there and they are rusted really bad. I think it's just like a flange with two nuts or two bolts that go down in and hold it. So I don't know. I have a buddy that may be able to come and, you know, fix these, cut them off and fix them however they are. I don't know. If he can't, then I'm gonna have no choice but to get up in there and try and get them bolts out. And hopefully, you know, everything will go smooth. The shop that I know that probably could fix them, they're closing at 12. So it's about 11:30. So we're not making it there. So we may just put this on the back burner for right now, jump out to the hay bind, rip that shock off and rip that hydraulic cylinder off and see what the deal is with that, see what we need to rebuild that, and kind of just keep working down the line. Well, this came off relatively easy, and there's definitely a big leak in it somewhere. You can hear it really sucking air down here around the O-ring or whatever's in there. So try and figure out how this all comes apart. I'm assuming maybe a snap ring, an O-ring, dust seal. I don't know. So here is the piston, I guess, and the barrel, and that seal in there. I don't know how well the camera picks that up, but it looks terrible. So it's no wonder that it was leaking oil so bad. In case you're wondering how you get these things apart, you got to pop off the fitting here, which is your hydraulic fitting. And then there's a snap ring that sits in a groove up here. You basically just pry that off with a screwdriver through that hole and then it pops out. So now I got to get these gaskets out of here and figure out how to, or where to get new ones. We're getting one step closer to getting everything fixed. It is definitely no wonder that this thing leaked. These things are terrible. So I got the majority of it cleaned out. There's a bunch of junk in the bottom. I got to try and clean that all out. You might be able to see some of it in there, but definitely need to get new seals for that. Throw it back together, and I think we'll be in good shape. The piston here looks in pretty good shape. So just need to get some parts for that. And at this point, I think I may be able to try and go get some parts for the tedder and get that underway as well. The biggest problem I know I'm going to be facing here is getting this hydraulic line and stuff off of the tractor. That I know is going to be a struggle, I'm sure. I may end up having to pop this kick plate off here and see what happens with that. So I need to order parts for that, and that should be good. So I'm about as far as I can go with the hay bind. I may jump back to this and see if we can get those off. So I have gotten, I think, majority of the parts that I need for the tractor. Now, with that being said, that does not mean that we're gonna fix it. We're just gonna kind of, not temporarily patch it, but here is what we have, obviously, as I showed prior. We have multiple pinholes in here, I think 3 in the bottom. And the way that it goes up into basically your control valve area, I think we're gonna have to drop that entire thing, because getting up into the bolts up here, you can't hardly get at them, and they're also stripped. So I'm assuming somebody tried to take them off prior. So the next best thing that I could come up with was, I went to my local shop and got a 4-foot hydraulic hose with a male and a female coupler. So basically, I'm gonna put those on each end, and we do have our 2 outlets on each side. So we have 2 here and then 2 on the opposite side. And they're controlled by one of these levers. So I think that's probably my best scenario, my best bet to do, because otherwise trying to drop that whole control valve is basically just gonna be more trouble than it's worth right now. That could be a good winter project because of, I don't really need the tractor in the winter. We're not really doing anything. So that's kind of where I'm at. Unfortunately, I know I have to tear it all back apart again. And we do actually have to put all this back together the way it is, but I did manage to clean out all that junk that was underneath the seat anyway and get rid of all that. So, we did a little bit, and it's just gonna get us by because we got hay cutting, second cutting coming around here. So I need to put this all back together, get the tractor back in operating conditions, and then we'll just use one of the remotes. And basically that hose is ultimately just gonna be an extension hose, and we're just gonna have to come run it back and then tie our hay bind in it. And ultimately that is the only implement so far that we have that's hydraulic. And also, I managed to get, with doing all this, I fixed the tiller, and that was, $300 to get all these parts, but we managed to fix everything for the tedder. So I have a new shaft end, new universal joint in there, put all that together. We got a new end there that I welded fast. So basically that can be thrown in, that's ready to go. We're still obviously missing teeth on the tedder. That's gonna have to be a winter thing. And ultimately we may end up getting a star tedder at some point. I don't know, I haven't really figured that out. I'm worried about that this far. But basically we are waiting. I was gonna try and cut some hay tomorrow. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. It depends on the weather, number one, but we're also waiting on the cylinder kit to come for the hay bind. We overnight shipped that, which we paid extra for, but that's not supposed to be here till tomorrow, so we'd have to put that on, which really is not that hard. It shouldn't be hard to put that in. The biggest thing right now is getting the tractor back in working order. Well, that's good as new for now, other than all the teeth we're missing. So the tractor is back together, and obviously it sucks because we're gonna rip it all back apart, but I did manage to make the hose connection here that I think we're gonna need. So we have to route this somehow from the front, and I'm pretty sure 4 feet is enough. It's about a 4-foot hose. So that should be plenty, because I believe when I checked this before, the hay bind hose reached about up in here. So that's only about 2 feet away. And depending how I route it, if I route it underneath, or I'm not exactly sure where we're gonna go with it yet, somewhere where it's kind of out of the way. So at this point, we have our tedder fixed, the tractor's back together, and we have a temporary hookup for that. So we're waiting on the hay bind stuff, as I said. We gotta fix our rake, and then I think we can go cut. I did check another field that's been well past due. We haven't even done first cutting off of it. It's too far gone. I think it just needs to be cut, just bush hogged, and then we'll rake it out, rake it out away, rake it from the centers and rake it towards the outside of the field, and then maybe we can get a second cutting off of it. We do have one field that we potentially could do second cutting on. I'm not 100% sure until I kind of look at it a little closer. It has a lot of clover in it, a lot of white clover. So we'll see what happens with that. The stuff that I baled where the baler was actually working properly, that stuff's kind of all junk. I think we're gonna just try and sell that for mulch hay because it's not in very good shape. So we have a little bit of work to do yet. And once the hay bind is back in business, we should be good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was kind of weird, kind of odd, because we took stuff apart just to put them right back together. But that is all the kind of the joys in farming. So I think I'm gonna pull this tractor out of here and I'm gonna clean the shop. It needs cleaned, it's long overdue. and I'm tired of tripping over stuff. I hope you guys have a great day. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.